Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Uninformed Fan. It is Hump Day. It is also Wedge Wednesday. And we are looking forward to another great show with everyone. Thank you all for joining. I am your host, as always, TRL Business Time / Tyson. And with me, my good friend who happened to make it onto the show today by some miracle, Mr. Jeffrey off of the Schneid. I know you've had a pretty hectic 24 hours here. I'm just glad that you were able to put it together to be able to be on the show today. Welcome. Take a deep breath and let it out.
Tyson, thank you so much. Let me tell you something. It's good to be here. It's good to be in a little safe space right now after the past 18 hours that I've had. Been a long one, honestly. I was getting ready for work yesterday and, getting ready to go in and work a shift and absolutely destroy it and kill it and make a ton of money. And I get a text from my wife as I'm driving to work, who, for those of you who don't know, my wife is about 6 months pregnant now. I get a text from her that she is having shortness of breath, can't hold anything down, lightheaded, and is having trouble breathing. So, when you get a text like that, it's always
never good.
Disconcerting. Basically we hop in the car, take off, go to Winnie Palmer Hospital. And for those of you who don't know, who might not be from the Orlando area, one of the most amazing things that the Arnold Palmer Golf Tournament provides in partnership with MasterCard as well too is the ability to fund Winnie Palmer Hospital. It is literally a baby making factory. I'm sorry. It is a baby factory, not a baby making factory.
Baby making factory.
We don't, there's no coital alignment going on.
Alignment.
From what I understand, inside Winnie Palmer. So we get to the hospital. I think we got there at like 5:30. I think we left the hospital at about midnight. They ran all the tests. They got her a bag of fluid. She was severely dehydrated. Blood pressure got back to normal. Everything is fine. Basically, what they told us is the reason that she has shortness of breath is because this is our third child that we're going to be having. And your body is such an amazing thing that basically the cavity that you have that holds the baby in. For every baby that you have, your body now is anticipating the baby coming, and so that gets larger and larger and larger. So on your third one, obviously it's going up all the way almost into your sternum at this point, and so that is where the shortness of breath is coming from. It's completely normal, completely natural. Everything checked out completely fine. Everything is good to go. We're very blessed. Just a quick little scare and off. And then I'm like, okay, we have a big show today at 11 o'clock. A lot going on. World Baseball Classic match play starting. We got some tournament stuff to talk about. It's going to be a great show. I had to get some friends into Magic Kingdom. And these, if you know anything about getting people into theme parks here in Orlando, the number one spot you do not want to have to get anybody into is Magic Kingdom. The reason for that is you have to go park, you have to get a shuttle to take you to the transportation station, then you have to hop on either a monorail or a ferry to then go to the ticket line, which the ticket line decided to not move today to get everybody in because there's so many people because it's spring break in Orlando. So I finally got those people in. Somehow I was on a monorail about 25 minutes ago, and now I am here live in front of you and just excited to talk some sports with my friend Tyson Thomas.
And the thousands of followers out there. Yes,
and the millions watching as well.
First of all, I just learned a whole lot about prenatal care that I never thought that I would learn in my life.
I just wanted to say, if you didn't have OBGYN talk on your uninformed fan bingo card, I'm very sorry for you, but it did hit today.
And right back at you, Justice. Good to have you in the chat as always. One of our faithful listeners. We appreciate that. Looking forward to you chiming in today. Yes, that is definitely not what I expected on the bingo card this morning, but we're very, very happy that Amanda is nice, safe, and everything checks out good. As far as getting people into the parks, that's one of my biggest things. Is I don't like doing that, especially with Bianca. And the funny thing is, and I'm not saying this is the case with your wife because I know it's her family and friends or whatever, but in the case with Bianca, and even when I would have people hit me up, like that I haven't talked to in 5 years, and like be like, "Hey, how's it going?" Yeah. And I'm like, "Wait a minute. Hey, I'm going to be in Orlando. Oh, wait a minute. Don't you have Disney Pass?" Yes, I do. Well,
don't you work for Disney?
No, I don't. But we're definitely glad that everything's good. We're settled down here. We're buckled in. The butt is warm on the seat. We're ready to dive into it. What do you say?
I'm excited for it. It is funny too, just to preface that as well too, to go back to it. It's always funny. The initial text you get is like, "Hey, how you been? What's going on? I see you on social media. The kids look great. How's Amanda doing? What's going on with your life? You know?" And then they lead into,
Boom.
by the way,
gonna be in your area. I was looking forward
whatever,
to
man.
Magic Kingdom. Well, have a great time.
Spread the magic and some pixie dust everywhere.
That's right.
Can, you know what I'm saying?
Well, after weeks of being beaten down by this information and being told that I'm basically un-American for not enjoying this, I finally got sucked into the World Baseball Classic last night.
You're welcome.
And yeah, thank you. I as I texted you last night, I really, really needed that in my life because I needed another letdown from my sports teams. And that's exactly what it was. Now, before we dive into the game itself, I would have to say that, through all social media reports, news outlets, this is one of the World Baseball Classic's highest rated ever since its inception, and has done nothing but grow the game, not only in America, but obviously worldwide. And I think that was more of the case of what the World Baseball Classic was meant to do, was to grow the game, much like the NFL is starting to do games over in Germany now, in England. It was to grow our sport, not to say our sport, but to grow a primarily American-based sport worldwide. And to see some of the numbers that came out, and I did see it was at Marlins Park, and I did text you, and I said, holy moly, I'm really, really glad that they opened the dome and that was able to happen, because I've been in Marlins Park, and it really feels like you're just playing baseball in a garage. It just has a very, very poor feeling. It's just all concrete. There are bright structures. They took out the Clevelander, which was one of the best places in left field. They had a little pool down there. That was pretty cool. They took that out. It was basically like a party zone. Had a dance deck, DJ, the whole 9 yards. They took that out. But I was really happy to see that it actually probably felt like a stadium as well. Now, obviously, you've been way more developed into the Baseball Classic than I have, so I'm going to let you touch on it, and then I'm going to give you my quick 15-minute takeaway of what I saw happen last night on the World Baseball Classic. Yes, it's going to be my quick, my 10,000-foot level as I'm flying over. I just happen to look down and give you my snippet.
Yeah, I mean, I've been following it closely. Listen, we get so locked in sometimes in the U.S. in terms of just focusing on what only we care about, not even thinking outside of ourselves, right? So we watch World Cup, we participate in it because the U.S., God willing, is in it and playing, but we don't really understand what it means on a global level. And for these teams that are playing in this World Baseball Classic, it means everything to them. It's the pride of their country. It's why you see, we talk about when like Ichiro came over, and when the Japanese players come over, you see the amount of media coverage that it gets from their country. I thought the World Baseball Classic was an absolute home run this year. I thought the way that they grew the game, I thought the level of attendance, we're just getting numbers in 98% increase in attendance and pool play, which means that people are showing up. You make it accessible in a city like Miami, so where it makes it easy to people to travel to. Miami, New York, places like this. Unfortunately, it wasn't the result that the U.S. was hoping for. I thought the storylines behind it, whether it be Randy Arozarena, in Mexico, and that great story, or Venezuela, and all the players they have in terms of Acuna and Altuve and all these superstars and everything like that. I think it's only going to continue to grow. I hope in the next 4 years that we get. Listen, I thought the position play attendance from what we had for the USA was great. I think the pitching is something that was severely lacking for us. I love Adam Wainwright. He's a legend. He's a borderline Hall of Famer. That's a tough argument. But to have him as your ace going in, when he's just past his prime, to me is just not okay. You have to have more give in, and I think this will contribute to that. Mike Trout is already committed to playing in the next 4 years from now. I'm not sure if we want that, considering the way that he played last night. But it was very cool too. And then you go through all of it. You go through this entire amazing thing, right? And at the very end of the game, we get Shohei Ohtani hitting 102 on the radar gun against Mike Trout, Mookie Betts, Jeff McNeil. By the way, good hustle, Mookie Betts, on that double play where you hit it right to the second baseman and decided to take 3 steps and jog to first base. Listen, I
That's
understand.
MLB play in a nutshell right there.
It was probably semantics at that point, but still, it's
I'm
like
not pulling a hammy here at the last out.
like it's just it was tough. Listen, yeah. So numbers that we have from a little bit: 81% increase in attendance just in Miami alone. Japan's viewership averaged 42.3 rating in their first 4 games, and Otani gained the most followers with 1.36 million increase, which is a growth of 75%. He's gonna get a bag going forward if he continues to throw and he continues to be one of the best hitters in all of MLB.
But the question is, will his contract be continued to be wasted by the Angels, as Mike Trout has his entire career?
I don't see him being with the Angels anymore. Unless he gets crazy numbers, I do see him going to a place like New York. I could see Steve Cohen just absolutely throwing an absurd number out there and not caring about it, which is probably what will end up happening. And the Mets will be the Mets, and
what are you
we'll
going
see
to do?
What happens with that.
Well,
Your
obviously, I watched a little bit of it, and to me, it seemed like quality baseball. It was a little climatic there at the end. We did get a 1-run game, but the runners were on. It just kind of culminated as well. Just for me, like once I get my hopes up, and then all of a sudden it was like wah wah wah, like The problem as well as for me is just like there's people that I don't like Adam Wainwright's a Cardinal, right? It's hard for me to root for him, and baseball I guess I take it a little bit more personally than like say the NBA, because I'm not really into the NBA, but as a Cub fan and a diehard Cub fan, anytime you see anybody from the Cardinals, it's just like But I did think it was quality baseball. I thought it was very, very cool that, basically two of the MLB's most high-profile players and that play on the same team ended up facing each other for the last bat. I think there's going to be a lot of dugout reaction on that one going on throughout the whole year, as far as
sure.
digging it. But I don't think Otani's that kind of guy. But I think Trout and the rest of the players are going to be that kind of guy. Like, hey,
it was funny too because Trout was talking about before the game. He goes, "If I have a chance to face him, I've never faced him before in my life, not even in like live BP or anything like that." And I think that was a great strategy. If you looked at what Japan did, right, they could have thrown Yu Darvish for a few innings. Everybody has seen Yu Darvish on that team, right? Everybody has faced him. So what they did was they brought a bunch of guys out. They basically made it a bullpen game and threw a bunch of guys the U.S. had never seen before, and they're after reacting one time through the lineup, right? We know the numbers in MLB. We know the way it works. One time through the lineup, second time, everything goes up. Third time, it gets out of hand. You know what I mean? So I thought they did a great job. Their strategy was super solid. Congrats to Japan. They deserved it. They played great the entire time. The walk-off against Mexico was just, instant vibes and chills. Unbelievable. And then to come back and beat the U.S. in the championship, the U.S. just couldn't hit.
What an advantage for the international teams, though, huh? Because obviously anybody that's playing for the United States, there's so much film on that person, on that player, and that batter, But the Japan League's pretty big as well, so I would have to think that there was some film on some of those pitchers as well that the MLB could have got. But hats off to Japan. A well played game, well played tournament. To see the passion, like you said, to when they won, to see the passion that they had out there. I don't know if you would have seen that same passion if the United States would have won, to be perfectly honest with you. You could tell that it meant something to those guys, and it meant something big. And kudos to them. It showed they were the better team, and they deserved the title. So congratulations to Japan.
Incredible. They're carrying around the Ichiro jersey, at the very end as well too. Paying homage.
They also did the Suzuki, who got hurt. Did you see him? They were holding his jersey out there as well. Absolutely, because obviously he couldn't play because he got hurt. I think he got hurt early on in it, but yeah, they were still promoting him, saying, hey, you're still part of this, even though you're not here for your hurt. It's just, I don't know, man. It's a different culture. It's something that does kind of give you the warm and the fuzzy feeling when you look at Japan baseball. It's different. It's more. It means more. It's kind of like the SEC. It just means more.
Yeah, and I hate the argument about like players shouldn't play because they're afraid of getting hurt and playing for their actual teams or whatever it is. Like these guys they play summer leagues in Dominican Republic and Venezuela and all kinds of places, and like just we coddle too much now in terms of these athletes. Like I always go back to a guy like Jonathan Isaac, right, who's been hurt his entire career, but it's like he's been coddled every time he's come back. At a certain point, we got to just stop resting people and go back to what we had before. Sometimes we get too much information, I feel like, and we just trust your gut, let it go.
I think it's also a little bit of oh Jesus. I think it's also
That's
a little bit, these guys aren't playing for 20, 30, 40 million dollars a year. They're playing they're
yeah.
playing for a living wage. They're playing for the love of the game. And you can
Hmm.
definitely tell the difference between players that play for the love of the game and players that play for a bag. You can just tell the difference. But yes, congratulations to that. Moving on to the men's tournament bracket, we're down to the Sweet 16. Congratulations to Olivia. She's still up top. Olivia, what a bracket you have at the 99 percentile. We have Alabama, San Diego. This week we have Creighton, Princeton. I think that's going to be a great game. Houston, Miami. We got Xavier, Texas. That should also be a great game. FAU versus Tennessee. Kansas State, Michigan State, Gonzaga, UCLA, and Arkansas, UConn. I think that we have some really, really, really good games coming up this week.
Yeah, absolutely.
With that being said, March Madness obviously brings a lot of revenue in for these schools. It is a flagship for all of NCAA basketball. It brings on sponsors. It brings on donors, everything. With winning and a good showing, you get rewarded. And we're starting to see that already with the dominoes falling with the coaching carousel from the NCAA basketball. We've had some pretty hot topics here on some of these coaches that have left. Saying I'm not one of those ones where I'm not going anywhere, and the next thing you know, their bags are packed, the car's out front, and they're already into the moving truck onto the next school. So just kind of breaking it down here, we had the Farley Dickinson coach,
Yes.
who Cinderella story, great, going to Iona, taking over for one Rick Pitino, who is this is amazing to me at coaching, right? The guy is 70 years old. 70 years old, just signed a 3-year deal with St. John's. So then you have Ed Cooley from Providence that is now taking over for the debacle that was left at Georgetown after the big man left. Now, obviously, there's a few ones here. The Farley Dickinson one, whatever, it is what it is. It's a feel-good story. He finished his tournament out. The Pitino one, it is what it is. We know what we're getting with Pitino. I find it funny that the St. John's, the athletic director, said that he was looking for the next young stud, right? The next young up-and-coming. I can't remember the name of the coach that he quoted, like. And then when they hired Pitino, he's like, they're like, well, what are you talking about? He goes, well, I couldn't find it, so I went with him.
Yeah.
I went with the old dog.
Yeah. So, first of all, I just want to say that that's complete and utter BS. I'll say BS because I know your mom and dad might be tuning in right now.
Which part?
We will. We're gonna go through. We're gonna kind of break down what we like in these games going forward as well too after we talk about this. But I do want to mention a few things. So the FDU coach, the guy from Farley Dickinson, he actually spent 1 year there. Right before that, he was a D2 or D3 coach somewhere. Got 1 year. Goes in, beats Purdue, and all of a sudden gets a shot at a big boy job at Iona. So good for him. Listen, we always talk about glowing up, and continuing to progress. You have to. The Cooley thing is weird to me because it's only like $500,000 more that he's getting paid from what he was getting paid at Providence, and everything that he said the entire time that he was there was he wanted to sign lifetime contracts. He never wanted to leave Providence. This was his home. He was a Friar for life, so on and so forth. And then as soon as Georgetown opens, you'll hop over there. And look, he's produced great talent and had good runs coming out of Providence. Georgetown in itself has not been amazing lately. It is a storied program, but it's a storied program from 30 years ago. It is not a storied program nowadays.
It's a Jordan era.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're talking about what? Allen Iverson. And before that, it was you had the big boys down there in terms of Mourning and who was the other one who was at Georgetown? Ewing as well too, of course, and obviously Patrick Ewing didn't work out. The Pitino thing to me, and so you said 3. I had a report.
I take that back.
6.
It's 6 years.
Yeah,
he said he wants
6
to coach for 10 more.
So listen, and I'm not going to mince my words here. If we can find a bigger piece of shit than Rick Pitino, I don't know where it is. Listen, Rick Pitino has been a scumbag since the 1970s when he was coaching in Hawaii and getting NCAA infractions for paying players back then. Okay, he's always skirted the rules, right? Whether it comes down to that and the things that Ian talks about, which I'm not going to even mention in that FBI probe that they had as well, that he likes to talk about. The way that he has handled himself everywhere he's been has always been with an air of, I am better and bigger than any of this, right? And this is the exact same situation. from my sources, from what I've heard, is the reason that he got that job is that there is a huge booster from St. John's. And the booster from St. John's said, I will pump NIL money into this space if you hire Rick Pitino as head coach. And they went out and they did it. And so you can expect St. John's. Yes, Rick Pitino said in his press conference, he said, I am going to get recruits. You know how he knows he's going to get recruits? Because he's going to give them bags for NIL deals. Okay?
It's like politics, politicians.
They are going to get paid off of it. He's going to wear his little guy liner that he wears. He's probably going to still do
guy liner.
Nefarious things to skate the rules and provide hookers to his players and turn a blind eye and say, oh, didn't know this was happening. Like, I didn't know that. It frustrates me. It is part of the problem in this country. Old white entitled men who just, continue to get away with this shit. It really just pisses me off.
So you're not a fan of the hire?
I hate it. I think it's terrible.
Well,
it makes me cringe when we continue to give the same people who do the same fucked up shit over and over again. We continue to give them chances. Continue for what? Why? Is he a good coach? Sure, he's an okay coach. How many championships has Rick Pitino won? He's not Phil fucking Jackson, dude. Okay, he's a fine coach, and he recruits very, very well. That's about it. And he recruits well because he cheats. We'll continue to give him opportunities, though. If
you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. Okay, we're not gonna get into this old white, so therefore that's all he gets. Crap. Okay, we're gonna stray away from that right now, and we're gonna dig into.
You said politics.
Politicians.
Right?
Well, this is how the old politics works. It doesn't matter if you're black, white, whoever donor brings it. Look at any politician's race whatsoever. Whenever you hear of a race on the news, you hear of who has raised the most money. Oh, this Republican has raised twice as much of his Democrat. Therefore, AKA he wins. I mean, that's the same thing. And now we have brought that into college sports with NIL and boosters and all of this shit. It is definitely pay to play now across the board. And that's just the way it's going to be until probably the end of time. It's only going to get worse. Now, Ed Cooley to Georgetown to me was one that I definitely wanted to touch on when we talked about the coaching carousel this morning, because I did get into a little bit of Dave Portnoy and his rant on this. And
we love Davey Page.
And Davey Portnoy did not hold back. And some of the stuff that was very, very interesting to me is that he accused him of recruiting for Georgetown during the tourney while he's still coaching Providence. Now, I think this is also the one where we talked about lifetime contracts, right? I want a lifetime contract or something. He made a statement of that and then put his house up for sale the next month. It's very, very interesting when you sit there, and why anybody to me would want to rile up your fan base to say, I'm here forever. I'm a Friar forever. I'm here. No way. I'm not going in. No, dude, no. Okay, I understand your heart was probably in at the moment. You're probably, wanting to get with your fans, but no, you're not going to be a lifetime you're not going to do that, because if something's better and somebody offers you triple, quadruple, five times your money, you're not going to look at it and say, no, I'm a Providence Friar forever. I'm not going to Kansas. I'm not going to Kentucky. I'm not going to look at North Carolina because I'm in Providence. And I think that should have been the first red flag. We all know at any sporting event, whether you're a player, whether you're a coach, whether you're owner, when somebody dangles the little shiny thing in front of you, ooh, piece of candy, you're going to look. So I think that's what, what the big beef was as far as him moving over to Georgetown. And boy, he did not hold back with his disdain for old Mr. Cooley.
Yeah, listen, we just want you to keep it 100 with us, right? Keep it a buck. Don't say things, right? Words matter in life, and what you say matters in life, okay? And the way that don't come out here and portray yourself in one way and then 4 months later turn around and do something completely different, all right? Because listen, the internet is going to hold you accountable.
That is America in a nutshell right there.
And the only place that's going to hold you accountable is going to be the internet and Twitter right now, if we're going to be 100% honest with you, okay?
Just don't tweet it.
It'll blow over eventually. I mean, at the end of the day, he's going to start at Georgetown, and none of this is going to matter when it starts next year. But yeah, as of right now, and I was curious, is your wife a Providence fan? I know she's from the area,
but she went to RI. So
Okay, so I didn't know if she had like an opinion on it, or if her mom or dad did, or anything like that. Somebody a little bit closer to the vest, maybe Paul does, and we can try to maybe touch on that at the
that might
very
be
end of
it.
our Gap Wedge Wednesday segment that we do have coming up. I do want to get into the tournament a little bit that we have going on here, because I think we have some really good matchups. And if you don't mind, I'm just going to kind of blaze through these real quick, and just kind of talk about what I like. We'll start at the very top. Alabama, San Diego State. I don't think anybody's taken San Diego State in this spot. I think Alabama's just too good. We'll see how Miller bounces back. I thought he had a very poor showing his first game. Obviously, second game he pours in 19 points, and he is really the catalyst. He can do it all. He scores on all three levels, can handle the ball. He's going to be an incredible pro prospect. As long as he can stop dropping off firearms to people that commit murder, he'll be absolutely just fine. Any thoughts on Alabama, San Diego State, Tyson?
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide, baby. Houston, Miami on the other side. Listen, Miami's been a great story this year, right? John Ruiz came in, gave him a lot of NIL money. They played really well the first two games. I was actually very surprised about how Miami just absolutely manhandled Indiana. Wasn't even a game. Kids from the outside were going off. Listen, Houston is a different animal, and especially a healthy Houston team, that's going to be something that they're going to have to deal with. I love Houston in this matchup. I definitely think Houston moves on. I don't see a way that Miami gets there. I think they could cover, right? I think the spread's 8.5, something like that. I think Miami could cover the spread, but I think it would be a backdoor cover. I don't expect them to keep it very close when it comes to the very end as well.
Don't go against Mattress Mac.
Yeah, you mentioned Creighton Princeton. Any thoughts about that game? I mean, I know you were looking at it.
I do have a little soft spot for Creighton. There was a kid growing up named Jerry Vanderhyde when I played. Not when I played, but he was a little bit older. He was in my brother's class that actually played for Creighton, and I believe his son also plays for Creighton. So I have a little bit of a back, I'd love to see Creighton. But then, then you have Princeton, and I believe Princeton's an Ivy League school, is it not?
Yes, it is, Tyson.
I love always seeing Ivy League schools lose then. So I'm 100% on Creighton. That's who I'm going with. Get your bougie ass out of here, Princeton. Let's go, Creighton. Bring it home. Send them packing back to their luxury apartments.
I do like this matchup, and I always love the Blue Jays, right? I mean, Kyle Korver being there, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like they've always had guys who have always been able to fill it up. Sheldon Mack, I believe, was there for a little bit as well too. But Creighton Princeton, I think, is a fun matchup, right? 6-15, we don't really see that Sweet 16 going forward. I think it's going to be a close game. I think Princeton will be able to shoot it. They'll be able to keep it close a little bit. I definitely think that that's going to be one of the more fun and entertaining games to be able to watch as well too. Now on the other side of the bracket, Xavier, Texas.
Probably going to be one of the best games of the week.
Probably one of the best games of the entire week that we'll have right there. A knockdown, drag-out fight. Obviously, Texas slides by Penn State 71-76. And then, listen, Xavier's been doing their thing right now. They did face Kennesaw State and Pittsburgh, so we're talking about level of competition. But is it the year of Miller? Like, is he finally have a team that he's going to push and get there to that point? It'd be very interesting to see. I think that's going to be a phenomenal game. Do you have a lean either way?
I had Penn State beating Texas, so I don't really think that highly of Texas.
You know what's funny?
I'm going with Xavier.
When I watched Penn State a few times, they always reminded me of that YMCA team that you have. They have a bunch of guys on Texas who are on Penn State who are like 6'7" playing center, right? But who have like good jump shots that can handle the ball. Like they don't look the part, but they just somehow make it there, and they make their free throws and make layups. And
the YMCA team.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like there's that guy who's out there who plays center, who might be 6'3" on the Y, but he handles the ball and he can kind of do everything. Very interesting. I do like Texas in this matchup. I definitely think Texas is definitely going to move on from there. We'll go back down. FAU Tennessee, another one of my really fun games of the tournament. Tennessee is really good, right? We know that they play great competition in the SEC. They had a great year this year. There's something about this FAU team.
Rocky Top by a mile.
Something about this FAU team. Give me FAU against the points right there. I love that one. Arkansas, UConn. Obviously, another SEC team in Arkansas. Always big, always athletic, always defends you for all 40 minutes of the game that they have. playing UConn. UConn has one of the best bigs in all of college basketball this year. I think rebounding is going to be a big factor in this. I don't know if either team is going to be able to shoot it lights out to get there, but we'll see what happens. Any lean this way? I know you're probably going to stick with the SEC here.
UConn goes hunting and takes down the Razorback.
Oh, I like UConn in this matchup as well too. Now, moving down to the bottom of that bracket, Gonzaga, UCLA. Is Mark Few ever going to actually get a team to get there? Is he actually ever going to and he hasn't done it with some of the most incredible talent that we've seen. I find it hard to convince myself that that's going to happen this year, right? I think UCLA has some dudes on that team who can absolutely ball. Big guys, handle the rock, can shoot. Give me UCLA in this game as well.
I'll take UCLA, but I do want to say something about Gonzaga. And going back probably like 10 years ago when Gonzaga first came on the map with some sweet tourney success. What a program. Where is Gonzaga on the face of the earth? Washington, right? Like, how are you getting players to go to Washington, first of all? Terrible weather. It's like, Seattle rains all the time. But kudos to you, man, for taking the talent that you have and continually making a showing every single year. I mean, what a great program. What a great athletic director. What a great system that they have to be continually in basketball every single year. They know what they're good at. They know their niche, and they stick with it. You don't see them. I don't even know if they have a football team, but they know what they're good at. They keep going. Maybe they have a great badminton team. I don't know. But kudos to Gonzaga. Whenever it comes to NCAA basketball tourney time, the name Gonzaga always comes up. And to be a 3 seed once again, congratulations. But give me UCLA. They don't stand a chance.
Give me UCLA as well. And speaking of great programs, we'll go from one great program to another perennial great program in terms of Kansas State and Michigan State in that ball game as well. Tom Izzo, once again, gets his team to the Sweet 16. Guy just knows how to do it, knows how to coach. He's always had opportunities to go to the NBA. He's loved where he's been, just like Krzyzewski was. I love those guys, man. I love those guys that do I want to go coach spoiled, entitled NBA players who want to sell out every other game? No, I don't. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to coach the college kids that want to go. Now, I think this is a terrible matchup for Michigan State. Kansas State, to me, is playing some of the best basketball in the entire country. And they have a guy who you know very well, who came from the University of Florida. Don't know if you want to talk about him after everything that he went through, Keontae. Right?
Absolutely.
Keontae Johnson.
Absolutely.
He's been just an incredible asset to that team. I think the way they defend, the way they shot the ball terribly against Kentucky from 3-point land. And then what happened? The very end of the game, they hit like 3 or 4. They still didn't shoot it well, but the average comes back. It was a tight game with Kentucky. All of a sudden, they pull away, a couple threes, couple weird calls here and there, and Kansas State moves on. They are an interesting team in this tournament. And I think if you're looking for some value, besides, obviously, we love Alabama and we love Houston to win it all, I think Kansas State is a very, very interesting play here and something to think about as well.
Definitely like Kansas State, and I like the matchup that they could have again with Tennessee as well. And Keontae Johnson, obviously, close to the heart, with Gators, and, speaking of obviously the heart, collapsed on the floor, been out for almost 2 years, which I didn't really understand why he didn't go back because, throughout that entire time with his medical condition, the University of Florida honored his scholarship, and I do believe he graduated, and now he's on to K-State, but they never would clear him or give him the complete green light to play basketball at Florida, which to me was just weird. And then he goes obviously to Kansas State, and he's cleared to play basketball there. So everything with the talent that he had and everything that the university had already went through, I didn't really understand why he didn't come back. Why they said, hey, I'm sorry, but we can't risk it. I don't know. But obviously the kid is one of the best players. It was great. What a great comeback story to be basically, touch and go on the floor. Very, very scary moment to now be competing at the highest level at college basketball. So hats off to him. Definitely rooting for him. Love to see Kane State make a little bit of more of a run. As we said, I think it was a week ago, last show, we always love an underdog. And so usually I'm always going to take the lower seed. And so hats off to K-State. Hopefully Keontae Johnson and the team makes it happen and puts a deep run together.
a lot of things sometimes transcend sports, right? And you look at the rivalry between Florida and Florida State, and the things that we've always had. When that situation happened, I just remember everybody. It didn't matter who you rooted for, was just 100% in thought, prayer, and support of the kid. And in terms of even going forward and saying, listen, what do you guys want to do about the game? Like, this is about Leonard Hamilton going to Mike White and say, hey, what do you want to do? Do you want to, whatever you want to do, our kids are here for you. We don't care about the rivalry at this point. It's about this young man. And I'm just happy to see him be back. And I think when you talk about storylines, a lot of times when we get into this tournament, it's an incredible thing as well. So very, very good. Props to them.
Absolutely. And as we go to move into our Gap Wedge Wednesday segment here, I did want to touch a little bit on, I don't know if you saw Cam Newton. Cam Newton's back in the news.
Yeah, I don't care.
He's going to be participating in the Auburn Pro Day, which
he already did yesterday.
Okay, well, he participated in the Auburn Pro Day. Okay, excuse me. I thought his comment was very interesting. The fact that there's not 32 better quarterbacks to be in this league, and Cam Newton was one of the we talk about things bigger than sports. Cam Newton is, as we compared him to Anthony Richardson, is an absolute freak of nature when it comes to athletic abilities. To me, though, yes, it's everything to do with not playing football is the reason why Cam Newton is not in this league. I think we've seen over and over and over again, NFL teams don't want to deal with the circus shows anymore. And whatever a player is, we don't expect him to change their personality, but Cam Newton is the reason why Cam Newton's not in this league. Because I do believe he's absolutely right. There's plenty of quarterbacks that he can beat out to be on an NFL roster.
Okay, so I'm going to disagree with you entirely 100% here. I think that Cam Newton is just past his prime. I think when Cam Newton first came out, sure, he could run the ball over the field. He could make throws to Steve Smith because Steve Smith was just flying by people, and he could just throw it up in the air. Didn't have to make reads, right? One thing Cam Newton has lost over the years has been his athleticism, which has turned him into a pocket passer, which is something that he can't do, is throw the ball effectively in terms of short yardage situations and stuff like that. We see it happen even when he was in New England. Last time he started an NFL football game was the year 2020. The last time that he was very relevant in terms of playing quarterback was 2017. So this narrative that Cam Newton thinks that he's one of the best 32 quarterbacks in the NFL is just pure delusion, and Cam Newton just trying to get his brand out there for whatever it is. Cam is going to be Cam, right? We saw it from the moment that he was at the University of Florida. He stole that laptop. He wrote Cam in whiteout on it. Cops came to his door. He decided to take the laptop and throw it out the window, but dumbass, you had already written Cam on it. So they knew that the stolen laptop was yours and that you were the one who stole it, and you wrote your name on it in whiteout. So I've never been a Cam Newton guy. I've admired his talent and admired the way that he was so hard-nosed and played the game of football. I just want him to kind of go away at this point. I don't care. Do a podcast. Like, do whatever you want. Go on with your boys, Channing Crowder and all those guys. And, I Am Athlete, hop on, do one of those things. If you really want to do it, I know you got your flag football teams that you coach as well, too. Get into coaching somewhere like that. But I don't need to see you run around, pretend like a guy's chasing you, and then hit a Zach Wilson throw, because we've seen what Zach Wilson does in the NFL as well too. So,
well, that was going to be kind of my point. I mean, you can't be worse than some of these quarterbacks.
Well,
I'm very curious to see. I'm very curious to see the tape. I would love to see the tape on what skills he actually did at this workout. I would love to see the tape on this. Jeremy, can you DM me the tape?
I saw one clip, and it was the same Zach Wilson throw that he had in his pro day, which is Zach Wilson rolls to his left, acts like he's getting chased, rolls to his right,
60 down the field,
does a spin move, and throws it 70 yards down the field.
Did he catch it?
Yeah, he caught it. It was on a dime.
Nice.
Cam Newton's never had a problem with the deep ball. I mean,
well, you just said he can't throw.
He can't throw. He can't throw. He can't throw a 12-yard out, Tyson.
But he can throw a 60-yard deep ball.
Very different throw.
Okay. Duly noted. With that being said, let's talk about a little golf. Now, this week we have match play, and is this on our fantasy, by the way? Because I didn't put anything in for this.
Oh, you didn't put a bracket in?
No. Was I supposed to?
Okay. Yes, you were. Yes, it is on our fantasy. So.
Whatever. After last week's performance, I got very disheartened by fantasy golf because I don't know shit about it. So just take my money.
pick some players, and go through it, and we'll be okay.
Well, first of all, I did get some incorrect information here. We can bring the guys in, Chad and Paul, if you guys want to go ahead and unmute. I did get some bad information here because I was also told that they teed off at like 7 o'clock this morning. When then looking at the brackets, I saw it was 10:20.
Well, so that is just an issue of it being in Austin, and the time difference, is what it is.
Anyway, so boys, are we?
First of all, yeah. I have a little outline for him. So we're gonna welcome into the show now, Paul and Chad, for our Gap Wedge Wednesday, the Country Club boys. Guys, welcome in. Happy Wednesday. It's good to have you this morning. How are we doing?
Good morning, fellas. Glad to be here.
We're glad to have you guys. And honestly, we'll just recap the Valspar a little bit from last week if we can. First of all, I want to kick it to you, Chad. You had a pretty good week last week. Just go ahead and break down what you thought happened out there and basically what transpired on the course.
Well, what happened is Taylor Moore did exactly what I thought he could. Came through for me at 55-1.
Boom.
Did you call Taylor Moore?
Yes, yeah. Sir.
Wow. Kudos.
Yeah, it'd be cool if you listened to the show.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you can pick some winners if you listen to the podcast.
Bro, there's so much information that goes in this head that stuff oozes out, bro. It's a constant recycle.
That's fair.
Yeah,
I get it.
So I thought I just watching it myself, and obviously you had Taylor Moore. It was a great job by you. You end up winning the group. I think I lost the group because Jordan missed that short par putt on 18, which dropped him to T3 instead of being second or whatever it was. But congratulations to you. The way that last hole kind of transpired, it got very sloppy there at the end. And, Shank, it was a great story. We were rooting for him, but Taylor Moore really just played lights out, and he was able to kind of get it done. What did you think about the way the last few holes transpired? Obviously, what they call it the snake pit, right? And the way that everything went through with that, Chad.
Yeah, the snake pit was the snake pit because it cost Jordan the chance at the title. He hit the one in the water on 16. You can't go right there. And, I don't understand a player of his caliber, especially without driver. He was sitting a 3-wood. I don't know how he hit it. Why would you even try that far right?
Yeah, that was
golf is hard.
That was an E&Z strive right there, if I've ever seen one. Just straight block right.
Wow, that's a bold call.
Right. So Jordan makes the bogey. Obviously, Taylor Moore comes through for you at the very end. Great hit at the 55-1. Was there anybody else that you had that was up there? I know Yeager. You had mentioned Yeager. He was leading for a little while. I didn't see how he finished. Any other guys that you had? We want to kind of give you your flowers here on your calls that you had. Anybody else you had that came through for you last week?
Tommy Fleetwood came through. Got a top 5 for me.
Yeah.
I was on him. He was only like at 25-1, but the way he's been playing lately, I really liked him there. One of the Wu brothers, Dylan. I did say Dylan was going to outperform Brandon.
Woo!
And I believe he came in. I believe he came in with the top 20. But if he did, he might have fallen off. I can't remember. I was too happy about Taylor Moore coming through.
Yeah.
So, it doesn't really matter after that. So.
Yeah, congratulations to Taylor Moore. Congratulations to you, Chad, on the hit last week. Hopefully you guys listened. Hopefully you guys tailed. Hopefully you guys made a little bit of money as well, too. Going into what we have now this week, we are in Austin for the Match Play Championships. I understand this is going to be the last year that we have this. Paul, what are we kind of looking at going forward this year?
Yeah, so I don't know if I just heard on a golf segment. Did I just get a Juggalos reference? In any case, the Austin Country Club, dude, you're getting a Dell Technologies match play. We have a P-die layout. It's par 71. It is short. It's just a touch over 7,000 yards. The greens are Bermuda, if I didn't mention that already. The layout's great for match play. A lot of short par 4s. Based on everything we're seeing this morning, it looks like the wind is up. So it's going to be a lot of fun this week. We're seeing some Cam Davis just basically drove the green and chipped in here on the what might be the 5th hole that they're playing. He and Xander. So yeah, always promises to be a fun time. It's kind of like the NCAA tournament where all the fun happens in the first 3 days, and then the last 2 days are just clean up. And Sunday is pretty boring if we're being honest.
Well, but you do get the championship, match going on Sunday as well. Too. You mentioned a Pete Dye course. Do we have any guys that we've had that kind of maybe play well on Pete Dye course? Pete Dye was also Paul, the one who designed the TPC Sawgrass. Is that correct?
Yeah. So you got he's going to be the designer for Sawgrass. He is also the designer for Harbortown, which is the RBC Heritage. You got Pete Dye courses kind of littered around Travelers as Pete Dye. One of the courses at the Amex is Pete Dye. So yeah, we got there's some Pete Dye specialists on. Siwoo Kim is a Pete Dye guy. Not that I'm backing him this week, but plays pretty well on Pete Dye courses. Cam Davis actually has a pretty good record on Pete Dye, even though he's one down right now to Xander. But yeah, so it's match play. It's it's a little bit of throw the records out, but you want guys with the skill set that do particular things that you need here at this country club. I'll let Chad kind of hit on that as far as what we're looking for specifically.
Chad, what kind of goes into this formula, right? Because obviously there's a different factor that goes into this as well, too, right? When we're looking at a match play as opposed to a traditional tournament, right, you're looking at the brackets and the groupings as well. And you want to see who's grouped together and then kind of base your decisions off of that. Who has good draws, who has not so good draws, certain stuff like that. What are you looking at in terms of what we have this week and what our qualifications are?
Yeah, one thing that you want to look at for as far as match play is guys who can get birdies, because you're hitting birdies and your opponent's not. Guess what? You're winning. That's the way it is. It's not, you can't make up ground like you would, like say somebody has a triple bogey, you make up 3 strokes. It's not like that. You're gonna have to win each hole if you're gonna be successful in this. So one thing that Paul and I were looking at a lot this week was because the course is so short, you have 5 par 4s that are between 350 to 400 yards. So we're looking at guys that play those holes great. One guy that stands out for that is Denny McCarthy. He's number 1 in this field as far as that, and he's in the Rory McIlroy bracket or group. So that's something that you could probably maybe hit on if you feel confident enough that someone can beat Rory. But he's pretty good at match play himself. Another thing is, like I said before, with the birdies, also you want to avoid bogeys, so you don't just throw a hole away. Because if you're thinking like professional golfers, most of the time they're probably going to get par on the shorter holes. So if you can avoid the bogeys, not throw holes away, that's going to help you out a lot too.
Yeah, match play is always so interesting because you see a drivable par 4, you see the guy you're playing with maybe snap one into the woods or the water or something like that. Then it completely changes what your thought process was for the hole, and it's really kind of a fly by the seat of your pants type of a thing, which I love because it gets very creative as well too. You really have to be an artist out there in terms of seeing your shots and kind of what's going on. Paul, any matches that we're looking at later today to kind of exploit and maybe hit on that we think could provide some value for us? Or Chad, I'll let you.
We're looking at a few things. I think the guys that we're looking at as far as where we are at for today's particular match, or even to come out of their group, Terrell Hatton. I think he's got a pretty favorable matchup against, Ben Griffin might be a wild card. Don't know, doesn't have a real professional record as far as match play goes. Been playing pretty well, putts pretty good on Bermuda, but Hatton's pretty, I would say, established as far as the match play goes, and usually plays pretty well here. I like the Hatton matchup. I know Chad had 2 more that we looked at against guys that they're going against basically nobodies, or guys who just have terrible match play records.
Chad, who you got?
Yeah, we got one of the ones I was looking at was Corey Connors to win his group. He's in the Cam
Okay.
Young, Sepp Straka, Davis Thompson group.
Oh, Canada.
Connors has a
Hey.
Connors has a 6-4 match play record, but that's kind of misleading because last year he made the semifinals and he's won 6 out of his last 7 matches that he's played in. So the 6-4 is all very recent. So another one is Finau. He's only 6-7-2, but his group, 2 guys, Kitayama and Moronk, don't have any professional match play record, and Paul's boy Christian Bezudenheit is he's got an 0-5-1 record. So that should be, I don't want to say the L word, but I think Finau should be a lock to get out of the group.
Okay.
And then if you're looking to try to fade, we all know Scotty Scheffler is the man. But one thing that Paul and I figured out last night when we were talking is that he doesn't win back-to-back. Seems like he takes a week off, or not necessarily a week, but when he's going to play his next tournament, he doesn't win back-to-back tournaments. He did that all last year. He won Waste Management, took a week off, won Bay Hill, took a week off, won this event. He's doing the same thing this year. He won Waste Management. I think the next one was Bay Hill, which he did not win. And then he went back and won Players. And then this would be his next event. So we're not predicting him to win this week. But a guy that could come out of that bracket that's got a very, very nice record is Alex Noren. He's 21-9 in match play, and he's in Scheffler's group. I want to go out on a limb and say that's going to be
right?
the upset of the early time. What?
The Swedish, I believe, right? The Swede?
Yes.
Or
Yes.
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 What are we?
He's
So
neutral.
just real quick, Paul, if you could give me who you like in your final 4 going forward this week, and maybe who you think might come out on top to win.
Yeah. So final 4. I think you could have Patrick Cantlay. I like Tommy Fleetwood to come out of that, the Scotty Scheffler segment. Going to be a tough road with Morikawa, Day, Hovland, Chris Kirk, Siwoo Kim, Matt Kuchar. That's a hell of a group right there.
It's a bunch of short course guys.
Yeah, that's the Hovland, Kirk, Siwoo Kim, and Matt Kuchar group. I would say is probably the toughest to cap, only because any one of those guys could string together 7 birdies in a row. It's tough. The coming out of the Rahm side, where you have Finau, Kitayama, Cam Young. This is going to come down to Paul Tesori, a guy I mentioned last week on the pod. Jeff's boy Webb Simpson just allowed. So they parted ways. Webb Simpson and Paul Tesori, longtime friends, longtime caddy, swing coach. But you got Webb Simpson kind of in the twilight of his career, and Cam Young, another Wake Forest guy who just started really come on the scene strong last year. So they passed the torch, so to speak. Tesori's going to take over the bag for Cam Young, and we've seen in recent times with caddy switches, you had Justin Thomas get away from Jimmy Johnson, I believe, and take on Bones Mackay, won a major and a Players. You had Scotty Scheffler take on a new caddy, and saw the 13 months that he's just put together. So this could be a huge step forward for Cam Young. So we'll see what happens up there in that bracket. And then I think we like Hatton down there at the bottom, the Xander group. Hoagie's another one that could surprise. I don't know. It's going to be a fun week. I think you watch the day-to-day matches, take a look at guys' records as far as their match play stuff.
How immediate does that usually happen in terms of a caddy change? Does it take time usually for results to come from that, or do you think this is something where like Cam Young could be like a sleeper this week going forward?
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, when Mickelson and Bones broke up, um, and then Bones went to the course as far as commentating for a while, um, I think he took Thomas's bag and they won within one or two events, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
So it can happen as quick as today, or guys might take a little time to kind of get the chemistry going. It's an interesting relationship, the golfer and caddy. So, but it's certainly fun to watch.
Very unfortunate. Go ahead.
I feel like
Go ahead, Chad.
it all depends on the golfer and if he's willing to listen, because these guys, the caddies that we're talking about, are experienced guys, like 20 years in. They know every course like the back of their hand, and if these kids are willing to listen to them and listen to where they say, hit it here, that way you have this much in and you can put it in the perfect spot to make your birdie. If these kids listen to them, that's the knowledge that they need, because they can make every shot. That's not a problem. It's just being where you can hit the best shot to give yourself the best opportunity. And I feel like Scotty's one of the guys that obviously he listens to anyone that'll give him information. He's like a bookworm when it comes to knowledge on courses. And Ted Scott's the perfect one for him. And I feel like Paul Tesori in the Southeast is probably one of the best caddies of Southeast courses and Bermuda greens. Because Webb Simpson was like I wouldn't say Bermuda specialist, but his best work is always on Bermuda. And I know he gave Paul Tesori a lot of credit for reading the greens for him. And
Chat, who do you have for your final four going forward this week? And just to put a bow on this tournament for what we like.
I'm gonna go out on a limb on the Rom side. I'm gonna take Connors. I feel like there's something there the way he's played lately. I'm gonna stick with Paul with Hatton at the bottom right, home with bottom left, and then the Scheffler one. I was torn between Noren, Kirk, and Day, but I probably would say I'm a gambler, so I would go with Kirk. It's my final four with Hatton and Homa playing in the finals.
So we got Kirk, Hatton, Homa, and who was the fourth you said?
Connors.
And Connors, like those. Those are all two. Listen, you can probably get them right now as long shots. And as I look up, I see Matthew Fitzpatrick 2 down, who I took this week. Tyrrell Hatton 2 down, who I took this week as well. So we are off to a blazing start. Obviously, so the first 3 rounds are round robin, and then they break up. Whoever wins those groups moves on to the next stage, and then it becomes more match play as well too. If you guys have a few more minutes, I just wanted to get some of your thoughts on the new talk that we have and the new hot topic in golf, if we may, which is they're proposing that the pros play with balls that will reduce the amount of distance that they get off the tee. Rory says he's for it. Everybody else seems to hate it. I will start with you, Paul. Any thoughts on this?
So my thought is, as a golfer, is it's never going to affect me. My thoughts as a golf fan is it's never going to affect me. If the ball's rolled back and they're losing 5%, everybody's losing 5%. I mean, the guys who don't get that club head speed up where Rory has it, up where these bombers have it, these guys who are clearing, carrying the ball 320. All right, so now you lose 5%, so you're only going to carry it. What?
There's going to be some tough math here.
I have my abacus
305.
He's got his abacus out.
Slap a couple. Marble across the board there. But you get what I'm saying. This is going to affect. It's truly. I think. Look, it's like this live thing. It's different. It's change. And these guys are creatures of habit. They don't want any change. They want to hit it as far as they can. They want to drive greens that are 370 yards. And so, sure, some guys who have taken advantage of this distance that they found with technology. I look at Matthew Fitzpatrick. He spent 2 years trying to gain 12 yards off the tee and won a U.S. Open. Does he lose 5% and become the golfer that he was 3 years ago? Who knows? But if they're all playing the same equipment, I don't see a problem with it, and I'm pretty neutral on the whole thing.
As golfers ourselves, though, isn't there a certain romanticism to the game that we go out there and we play, and we know that we're playing the same clubs, the same balls, and the same golf courses as the professionals that are out there, right? Golf is pretty much golf and maybe poker, or bowling, I guess, are like the only things that you can really equate that to, right? Where you're using the exact same equipment, you're on the exact same setup and course that they're playing as well, and then you compare how bad you are yourself compared to how good they are. Chad, do you think that takes away anything from that? Or, I mean, you don't hit the ball very far anyway, Chad, so I know it's probably not as big of a deal to you, but any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I like you trying to, get back at me, but we all really know the truth. But it's fun. I like what you're doing. I feel like with the whole thing with the pros, it doesn't really change anything because, like Paul said, everyone's going to be moved back. Like the guy that hits 340 is not going to hit 310. The guy that hits 300 is not going to hit 280. So it's not like if they're going to try to make it equal, you have to. Like, it'd be unfair, but you have to take the bombers and make them play a different ball and make the non-bombers play the same ball. That way they might be able to hit the same, like whenever you have to hit from the ladies' tee, when we hit from the men's tee, make it equal for them. So I just
those are called forward tees now. Forward tees.
Forward tees, not ladies' tees, bro.
Yes,
I forgot. 2023, bro.
I'd like
respect around.
I'd like to
Texas. I don't get it.
I'd like to chime in on this one just for a second here. Because, Jeff said that, golf is basically we play the same courses, the same clubs, the same balls. I look back, and when is the last time that a ball has been regulated? It's been the same ball for how long? How many decades? And it's not the ball. It's like what we're talking about. It's the technology. We
shaft.
We took. And
like
I'm getting to that one. And
holy boy.
We started off with a driver that was wooden with the size of our hand that had a metal plate on the front of it. Now we have a driver that's the size of somebody's head, a small child's head that we try to put out. And when you're talking about we play the same clubs as the pros, we absolutely do not play the same clubs as the pros.
What do you mean?
Let me finish. You might have the same head, you might have the same grip, but you have nowhere near to the shaft that professional has in his club, in his total bag. They have shafts that have kick points designed for every single club. It's not the same shaft over all 12 or 10. There's a different shaft for a 3-iron, 4-iron, 5-iron. And those shafts are somewhere in the neighborhood of sometimes $500, $1,000 a shaft.
Yeah, but you could buy it if you wanted.
No, you cannot.
Why?
They specifically make them for them.
It's proprietary technology that they design per player. They design it based on their swing speed. They design it based on where their kick is. They design it on their wrist flip, where their head is, how much torque they have. It's complete. It's where the head snaps forward off the shaft. Because if you look at the players when they're swinging, yes, that's right. Well, you're the one that said that players like to play with balls and then took a spot, so don't get me going on that. When you look at the club in the swing, the shaft bends, and depending on where the angle of the club head is as opposed to where a golfer brings back the club, has a difference on where that kick point on the shaft is going to be. So that's why you see professionals. Now, I consider myself one of the longer hitters of the group, as we saw from Metro West. I hit some 350 bombs out there, but I can't hit. I mean, I can hit my 9-iron about 165-ish, but these guys are hitting a 9-iron 175, 180. And it's completely around the shaft. So if we're talking about technology and stuff of that nature, rolling back a ball, I keep going back to the same as when we Tiger-proofed golf courses, because Tiger was so good at hitting certain shots, we had to change Augusta National to try to stop Tiger Woods from getting it. the game is in its purest form, right? If we want to keep it going, it doesn't really matter. Like they said, if you roll the ball back, everybody gets the ball rolled back. But then on the same token, if we roll the ball back, well, we move tees at certain golf courses because people hit the ball so far. We base the tees on what tees you play based on how far you hit your golf ball and your handicap. I think there's a lot more that goes into it. Now, obviously, that doesn't equate down to the amateurs. But to your point, we don't play the same clubs as the pros. It's close. Okay, like I said, you might have the same head, you might have the same grip, but the shaft makes the club. It's not the head, it's not the grip. The shaft makes the club, and we're not touching anything that those boys have. And not only that, they get it for free. So that's another little salt in the wound. But to me, it's just another thing that it's like golf has been stale, been stagnant for so long. We haven't had any rule changes. And if you look at the people that hit the ball the furthest, they don't score the best. How many times has Bryson DeChambeau won? Okay, great. You can hit the ball 400 yards. You about pull a disc every time you do it. How many W's do you have? And I think when it looks down to that distance doesn't equate to W's in the PGA or any golf. Distance helps, but 150 yards, 160 yards in, scrambling, putts, that's where you're going to win in the PGA Tour. I don't think a golf ball is going to have anything to do with that.
Drive for show, putt for dough. I might patent that line.
Amen.
That's my rant.
If you tune into the Uninformed Fan today and you thought that you weren't going to get OBGYN and Shaft Talk in the same episode, you are sorely mistaken here. Guys, real quick, just before you go, Chad, just your thoughts on Texas basketball in the tournament, real quick, if you can, and what you see in the matchup going forward.
I like what I'm seeing. We're an all-around team that we don't really get credit for defense, but I think we rank 3rd in defensive efficiency and 10th in offensive efficiency. One of only, I think, 3 teams that are in the top 10 in both offense and defense efficiency. Going to have a hard draw if we get past Xavier. Probably going to be having to play Houston.
Yeah, Houston.
That's going to be if Sasser is fully healthy, that's going to be a tough one.
Civil War in Texas.
Right?
What's that?
It seems like he is healthy, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I didn't watch much of Houston in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah.
I was kind of busy all week, but yeah, I didn't catch any of those, so I don't really know what he's looking like. But if we play our A game, I feel like we can beat anyone because, I mean, we did win the Big 12 championship. That was the best basketball conference this year, obviously, with 8 teams I think got in. So we proved it there. We waxed Kansas a couple times. So as long as we're playing our A game, I feel like we can win it.
All right. Well, good luck. We look forward to that. Hey, Paul, you still there by any chance?
I'm around.
Hey, just do you know about the Providence stuff? Are you a Providence fan, or do you know about anything going on right now with Cooley leaving?
Yeah, so I used to live a block and a half from Providence, Providence College. I used to go see a lot of games when it was still the Providence Civic Center. Grew up watching Providence back when Rick Pitino was there.
Favorite guy.
Let's do it. Let's do a double down here with old Paulie Putts. Paulie, thoughts on Pitino getting the St. John's job, and then thoughts on Cooley leaving to go to Georgetown.
Yeah, so I think once you rock around the gym at Iona for enough time for people to forget about everything that you did between Louisville and everywhere else. Patino's always been a guy who I've held in a high regard, just, growing up there. And so you kind of turn a blind eye to some of that stuff, I suppose. And St. John's, I think that's where he played. So he's back home, so to speak. Gave him a job, whether he's, I don't know. I mean, it's retreads, right? I mean, these guys have been around forever.
Just a big fan.
Still have, yeah. Does Pitino still have, I can't even believe he's still coaching. And then
for 10 years, it's crazy.
And then Cooley going to Georgetown. It seems like he probably did as much as he could at Providence. I think whether you stay there for the rest of your life or I don't think he makes Providence a Final Four team. I don't know who does.
It's hard to recruit those guys
It's
up there.
tough recruiting. It's not the Big East the same as it used to be. When the Big East was the Big East, it was 11 teams that could win the national championship. Back in the late 90s, early 2000s, it was a roster. I mean, it was 10 of the best teams in the country were coming out of one conference. I think the Georgetown move, there's still some, I don't know if there's any prestige left on the name, but he can't do any worse than Patrick Ewing.
No, Ewing screwed that all up.
Very true.
And
at least he tried.
Yeah, and John Thompson's
for
team, huh?
$6 million a year, you got to take it. I mean, guys got to eat, right?
I'm sure the difference in 4.5 and 6 is just, I couldn't even imagine. That's
Depends
about 1.5, I think, somewhere around there.
Depends on what your state taxes are.
I guess.
That's my abacus says.
That's why I chose to reside in Florida.
Here we all have, actually. So
I don't like to play taxes on my millions, so yeah.
Boys, well, we appreciate you stopping by as always and imparting knowledge on us when it comes to the golf courses and things that are going on. Good luck this week, and good luck to Chad. You got Texas in the tournament. Good luck in your brackets. Good luck in everything. We appreciate you.
Real quick.
Go ahead.
I gotta find out who his favorite pick of this week for golf is, so I can fade the shit out of him.
Who's your favorite pick, Paulie?
You don't want somebody coming dead last after the cut or missing the cut by a shot, a la Hadwin. In that case, I will take. Let me see. Who do I want to lose immediately?
I feel like
he was winning already.
I was gonna say. I feel like this is gonna be a sham pick here.
Yeah, let's take Will Zalatoris.
I love Will Zalatoris this week.
Oh, great. I wish I knew that was a
Jeffrey's dark horse.
No,
a real pick. There's no sincerity at all in that one.
I can
love
tell
you, buddy.
Who my dark horse is real quick, actually, if you want to know. But my what about pick that we have every single week.
Yeah, Jeff, why don't you give us a what about? Just throw some spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks.
Hey,
well,
look good.
Can I be honest with you? I went a lot of chalk this week. Just because I don't know. I just
you could
felt
afford
weird.
it.
Yeah, well, no, not even. Like I think I only took 6 golfers this week. But one of the guys who
this
for
kind
some
of
reason,
format, that's what you need.
Yeah, for some reason, one of the guys I landed on was Billy Horschel this week. And
he's won it before.
Yeah, and I just for some reason, I feel like stars align sometimes, and I feel like Kansas State is on a roll right now with Keontae Johnson, and for some reason, the Florida connection with Billy Horschel, I don't know why. I don't know. It's just a weird thing. But I took Billy Horschel this week.
Paul, I'm gonna need you to open it up so I can get my picks in.
That's my what about.
All right, boys. We appreciate the knowledge.
All right, we'll talk to you soon.
All right,
thanks, guys.
Friday.
We'll see you out later, boys.
See you Friday. Taylor Moore's bought some drinks for us. All right.
We appreciate him.
Thank you.
Later.
All right, good stuff there from the boys. Man, we covered a lot. We ran over. We're over the time limit. Holy mackerel.
Is there ever a time limit though? We didn't even touch on some of the NBA stuff I wanted to. We had some NFL talk to get to, but it's okay. We'll save it for Friday. You know what I mean? Friday. Hop on Friday, knock it out of the park. Friday, yeah, might have a little bit of an earlier show on Friday, if we can. But we'll talk about that a little bit later as well too. Maybe a time change coming up.
Here we go. Any final thoughts, Jeffrey?
Love the pursuit of happiness. I have no final thoughts, but except for enjoy the next few days. Match play starts today. Obviously, we got basketball starting tomorrow and Friday as well and running through the weekend. It's going to be a great sports weekend. We're ramping up last 10 games of the NBA season. NFL's in full swing. Drafts right around the corner. Let's go, man.
I don't know if the NFL's in full swing, but... well, in closing, I would just like to... It's kind of over.
Lions are making moves.
Yeah, the Lions are making moves. As we wrap it up, I just want to dedicate this show to my uncle, Jim Hall, who passed away on Monday. Jim was always a bright light, my mother's brother growing up. all the little poems that we used to hear. I never forget. He used to always just sing me a song. It was called "Singing Tie-Eyed Titty Titty Tie Titty Tie." He was also a really good one with it when it came to the dad jokes, everything. Uncle Jim, you will be missed. Thank you very much for everything that you've given to my life and to your families as well. Our thoughts and prayers are definitely with that side of the family with this. So, Uncle Jim, this show is for you. And on that note, guys, we will be back Friday. We'll get a little bit more depth into it. No F1 this weekend. We got another week off. The boys got to pack up the show and move it along. We'll be back Friday for an extended version, apparently. I don't know what the hell is happening. Apparently, Jeff's dropping knowledge bombs here at the end of the show, basically telling me that something's going to happen. I have no idea what it is, but it looks like I'm going to be moving my schedule, apparently. I don't know. Like, I don't have it, but this is the life we live. So, on that note, everybody take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Hug your loved ones tonight. Peace out.